I can't begin to tell you how many people call me the goat of wellness, but I'm not the goat of swimming or literally anything that's athletic. But Michael Phelps is, and he's created the Chili Goat cold tubs. And for any of you that may not necessarily think of themselves as top athletes, you can still get the benefits of a cold tub. Whether you struggle with anxiety, depression, or just want to boost your overall well-being, their cold tubs can give you the tools you need to feel your best. Join the thousands of people who've already transformed their lives with Chili Goat cold tubs and empower yourself to be the best you can be. Click on our link in our show notes to get $100 off your first cold tub from Chili Goat Cold Tubs. Welcome to the Wisconsin Wellness Podcast. I'm Laurie Groh, your host, mental health therapist, and practice owner. Each month, we'll showcase a central theme and provide weekly practical hacks, inspiring interviews, and valuable advice from wellness professionals. Our aim is to help you streamline your wellness and mental health journey. So let's start the show. Welcome to the Wisconsin Wellness Podcast. Today I have John Graham with us, and John's journey into red light therapy stems from his experiences as a competitive athlete in rugby, CrossFit, and amateur boxing. Battling injuries along the way, which included a tumor in his head, he discovered the healing potential of red light therapy, which sparked his passion for holistic health. With a background in entrepreneurship, including 6 gym openings and fitness technology development, John's focus shifted to recovery, wellness, and founding of Lumaflex. His story embodies resilience and a commitment to learning from setbacks. As a leader in red light therapy, John brings a unique blend of athletic experience and entrepreneur insight into the conversation, offering valuable perspectives on holistic well-being and the transformative power of light therapy. All right, welcome, John.
Thank you. Wow, let's get into it. Very long intro. I feel very pumped up now. I'm energized.
Yes.
Ready to go out on the field and perform. Let's go, coach. I'm also very thankful to you for letting me be on your podcast. I always really appreciate any opportunity to share. I mean, you're giving me access to your audience, to your platform. It's a really big support. I'm trying to launch a brand that I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate about red light therapy. Obviously, I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, my entire pain history all into Lumaflex and this product. So greatly appreciate anyone who endorses it or says, all right, come on, let's hear what you have to say. And I get access to your channel. So big shout out and thank you to you.
Of course, I'm so excited to learn more. We talked a bit beforehand, and one of the things that I'm looking to purchase, I'm getting a sauna, which is a big deal for me. I'm getting a sauna, and then I'm thinking, let's get some red light therapy. Let's heal our body completely and just feel like $1 million. That's my goal.
That's it. Why not?
So, John, yeah. I'm really curious about your athletic background. I have not done any of those things. Big shocker. I've never boxed, never done CrossFit, and I've never done rugby. I don't know anything about any of those things. But I do know that it takes a lot of strength and courage and resilience to do any of those sports. So can you tell me a bit about that journey?
Yeah, I mean, they're all impact sports, right?
Yeah.
Very tough on the body. You're clashing, you're hitting, you're colliding with other human beings. They're trying to knock your head off. Very, very fun sports. Lots of feedback. It's a good challenge to take on. But I'm not going to by any means sit here and be like, yes, I just was built for it, and and make up some story about how I'm some hero and then I was good at these sports. Where it all started, if I'm 100% honest, and I think your audience would appreciate, someone speaking genuinely, is I was very skinny. I was a skinny little boy with weak joints. I was like a white redhead boy with freckles. Can you imagine? You'd be like, yeah, this.
So you look just like Conan O'Brien growing up.
I was not a very confident kid, to say the least. I had this old photo of me, my arms were literally like bamboo sticks. And I was like, I got to change this. No more of this. No more
Yeah.
skinny John. I need to put on some armor, right? Because when you're not confident, there's like a little teddy bear inside, right? And you want to protect that teddy bear. So when you put the muscle on, that's protecting that teddy bear. Because later on, the last competitive sport that I did bodybuilding, where you go up on stage and you flex your muscles, and I met a lot of the bodybuilders. And you'll notice if you ever meet someone that's very big, very buff, if you have a good EQ, you can identify they have that teddy bear, and it's that teddy bear that they're trying to protect. Like, I'm strong, I'm worthy, I'm confident. And that was very much me back, when I was young. I wanted to put on some muscle. I was like, I don't have a chance with the girls looking like this. I got to figure my shit out, right? And I'm originally Australian. I've traveled a lot. I've kind of, been an entrepreneur in so many different countries. When I'm trying to tie myself down to Australia, I'm Australian. I'm trying to put my flag in. I'm an Aussie. I do what Aussies do. So Aussies do cricket, they do rugby, or they surf. I'm terrible at surfing. Cricket is it's very hard to find anyone who wants to play cricket. It's not a sport that travels well. But rugby, it was easy to find a rugby team, to find a coach, and to get really involved and be like, yeah, this is me. This is my thing. I'm going to be a rugger, and this is how I'm going to, all the girls are going to watch me from the side, and I'm going to, you have these imaginations. I was creating such this idol of myself as a rugger, but I was still very young, very weak joints. And I remember my first tour going, and that's when we're going overseas. Like, we're leaving our home field. We're going out with the boys, and we're playing against another team. We're playing against, in a tournament. The very first one, I popped my shoulder and I had like a little micro tear, a little fracture on the bone. And the doctors, all the meds on the field, they couldn't figure out how to fix it, how to relocate the joint. So they were like, you got to go to hospital. But that just meant that I was out of joint. And I had this, it was maybe about 4 hours that I didn't have the joint set, and I didn't have the bandage and everything on there, not to mention even the fracture of the little micro fracture of the bone. So recovering from that took a long, long time. And I went back on the field 6 to 8 months later, played 2 games, and then bang, popped the other shoulder.
Oh my God.
So I'm coming in this way, and I'm protecting this shoulder. But of course, this one got hit. But this one wasn't as bad. And I was able to the medic was able to put the joint on. It was okay. It was even on the field. I was like, oh, I could probably go out and play again. But I was like, yeah, maybe this is the universe saying, no, son, no more competitive touch. You can continue to play off and on, but no more competitive rugby. You got to let this identity die.
Yes, pick something else and imagine all of the women just watching you, right? There's got to be something else. Yeah.
Try chess, ping pong. But I was like, no, I'm a gym guy. I'm a fitness person. This is my identity. I need my armor. I need to have muscles. So I got into CrossFit. CrossFit is basically like gym workouts, but done in a sport fashion. There's leaderboards, there's scores, there's the water of the day, and you have like teams. It's all done in a sort of sport format. It's competitive format. But at the end of the day, it's kind of just Olympic lifts. It's all gym workouts, right? And it was getting very popular back then. So I was like, this can be my new thing, because obviously nobody's colliding into me, right? There's no one tackle me.
At least it wouldn't be on purpose.
Unless it's by accident. Yeah. But yeah, I got really big into CrossFit, competing and climbing the leaderboard, competing against the other top guys in my region. But CrossFit, in short, it's like high load and high volume. It's sure, there's strength component, the Olympic lifting component, then there's the kinesthetics component. So they do have a good balance. But if you are competing, it's not about how many squats you can do. It's about how many squats you can do with 100 kgs on your back. You know what I mean? God. It's like if you're going to compete, you need to do all of the load, but with a lot of weight. And it's not like a little bit. It's a lot of weight. You got to have a lot of weight. You can't, come on, you want to be competitive, you got to go really hard, right?
Yeah. So you couldn't use my 2-pound weights then and win.
Yeah. Well, I would think it was competitive, but the judges, they were like, no, and sometimes you look at these workouts and you're like, what are they on? They can't be serious. How does a human being do this? But that's the beauty of the human race is we're so, super achievers. And every time a record's broken, it's broken again. It's broken again. But it's not for everyone. For me as a human and my body, my biology, I've done DNA tests and I'm very prone to injury. I need to warm up. I need to do all of that. which I found out now later on.
Yeah. Yeah. After. It's always after you find that stuff out.
Yeah, missed the ball there, didn't I? Probably could have had a better career if I was a little bit more attentive and I had the mindset that I have now. But CrossFit, my knees would take a real beating, and my left knee in particular really suffered, and it got to the point where it was basically not working anymore. I would sit down like any 45-degree angle, and it would start to inflame and get very, very painful, extremely painful. Taking an Uber or having a flight was almost impossible because I would have to extend and I'd have to rub deep heat oil on it and everything, and try to get the joint to lubricate and to at least get the pain away, at least for a short term, right? So that was an injury that I had that for a long time before my wife introduced me to red light therapy. During this time as well, I was also starting to box. I started boxing because I quit CrossFit, dealing with this injury, and I was also starting to get into boxing. And then she introduced this lamp to me where it was like a lamp that you would have by your bedside, but it was really ugly. It was really ugly. It was like something like Batman would have in his cave to torture bad men. It had this big red bulb on it. It was like the detective says, and he wakes up. It was like one of those, except it really a big red bulb, if you can imagine this thing, right? And a large weighted base that held it up, and I'd have to move it around. Really cumbersome and just a horrible thing to use. But after a week of using it on my knee, it worked. I didn't have this pain anymore. So, and how I knew I didn't have the pain is when I would sit down, my knee would fire up. Yeah, I can sit. And then about the second or third week, I just stopped using it, and I gave it to her grandfather. But then after that, I got really into boxing. I went into amateurs, and over years of fighting, this is what the doctor said, because I had to have headaches. I would have a headache, like a very sharp headache here. I'd have a sharp one here. I'd have like these sharp points, it'd be a very specific point. So I did a full scan. He checked everything out, and he said, you have a tumor inside your head, and it's been caused by micro traumas in your brain. He said, did you fall when you were like a young kid? Did you have like a serious fall, a serious accident? Did your mother drop you when you were a baby? And I was like, no. But I said, yeah, but I've done boxing. And he was like, well, yeah, if you're getting hits to the brain, you've created this tumor. It's just growing into your brain. So it's getting larger, and it's going in towards your brain. You need to get the surgery quickly so it's easy to get out. But this isn't the end of the world. You have a few months to plan the surgery. Let's book it. And then then it's done. And after that, I still need to go do checkups to see if it's still okay. But after that, I was like, nah, no more.
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. That's the last one. You got to go to the toes now. Do ballet. Get those all jacked up.
Yeah, I should have just played chess. But yeah, from there, I did bodybuilding. Competing was fun. Yeah. I did like a real, insane run on that. Did very, very well. But there's no real rivalry in bodybuilding. And I really liked that challenge. A human being experiencing this challenge, like, I need to fight this guy in the ring, or else he's going to kill me. I like, how does your brain cope with it? I enjoyed that. Whereas bodybuilding, you're kind of facing the crowd. There's judges there. He looks at this sort of criteria, and he's like, no, I don't like your calves. And you're like, dude, I like my calves. Leave my calves. It's sort of a different format, right? But still fun, very safe. You just diet and pretty straightforward. But yeah, and through that whole journey using red light, it became very well known to me. It was puzzling at first, like, how are you healed with light? But I learned more and more about it and the power of light and what it can do for us, not just for pain injury, but for many other human conditions. So I obviously don't do any sort of impact sports anymore. I'm more focused on rehab, focused on recovery, wellness. And I'm being in that space. There's lots of other tips and tricks that people can do, and not just to optimize their performance for sport, but just optimize their life, just make themselves happier, more healthy, more well. As a human being, when you're more happy and more healthy, you make other people more happy and healthy around you. And you can 100%. Create a very nice environment just for yourself, your family, your coworkers. And I've seen that when I've been able to introduce red light therapy to my parents, because they've had a lot of pain in their lives, physically, mentally. They're divorced. So, being able to communicate red light therapy as a tool for your mental health as well has been really rewarding to me when people are seeing the feedback of what they can do just from light. It's natural, it's non-invasive. It's something that I would encourage everybody to explore, and explore it at least before you start looking at more evasive means of treatment. You have a condition,
Right.
what drug should I use? What surgery? Oh, let's talk about surgery. There are things that you can do before you get to the surgery conversation. Red light therapy is one of them. It's
Yes.
important to get the word out.
So, John, a couple of things. I have a couple of questions regarding red light therapy. But before I go into that, just a quick question on the competitive drive. So, that's something that definitely motivates you. Without those other activities, do you have something else that you can be competitive in? Is it like the wellness, like I'm going to be the best of myself? Is it, have you transformed that part? Because it's a hard thing to shake that off.
That's exactly, it's such a good question. And it's interesting because over the last couple of months, I've been probing this in my own head. Because yes, when you compete, especially if you're like me, you do feed off. It's not the competition with others, it's the competition with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's something over the last couple of years, becoming more self-aware as I get older, right? There's plans to have children along the way. You start to become wiser. You're dealing with a company, you're managing staff, you're growing a business. You can't be so hot-headed like I was in my early teens and early 20s. You can't just be, I'll just muscle it. Let me figure it out on the way. You have to be a little bit more cautious, try to rethink things, unwind your brain a bit and be like, why did I think that? Let me trace this back. But definitely, I know that it was always a competition with myself. And it's something that every athlete does have. And I've talked about it before with my family, with my friends, even with my coworkers, how it is okay as long as you're aware of it and you keep it in check. But it's an attitude where you're always trying to outdo yourself because you're never satisfied. You're never happy with the performance you did. You're very critical of yourself. And it has a value and it does inspire athletes to push harder. Like when you hear of the greats, Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace, the Jordans, the Tiger Woods, the Roy McIlroys, like Tyson Fury, these guys that are very high level in their sport. You need to have this thinking in order to keep going. But the wise ones, the ones that do well long-term, they keep it in check. They're like, okay, easy. Don't be too hard on yourself there. It's all right.
Right.
Let's take it one step at a time. Because it's always very easy to you beat yourself up. Oh, I should have done better. I should have done better. And it doesn't matter how much validation the world gives you, or even if you do well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough. I mean, I used to be a runner. I was a short distance runner and I went to a small school. So there wasn't a lot of girls my age that were running. And so a lot of times I would have to compete with the guys on our track team. And one of the things that my coach said to me that I always remember is you are at a point where you have to just compete against yourself. When that really clicked in, that helped me kind of jump to that next level because I wasn't worried then about other people. I was worried more about, can I beat my time from last time? And sometimes yes, sometimes no. But with that idea, it did eliminate a lot of the potential criticisms because there's always going to be someone showing up that's going to be better than you.
Yeah.
Like you were saying before, somebody there that's going to break your record. I'm proud to say my high school records are still unbroken. So I'm going to put that on record.
That's right. Put that on record.
It will never be broken. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But that idea, I think, has helped me also along the way because when I get really motivated, it is things like that. Like, how many books can I read? How fast can I listen to a book? How much can I get done in a day? But you're right that can also go off the rails. And so that awareness of when is this helpful? When is this hurting me is really useful. Like the criticism.
When is this actually hurting me?
Yes.
I need to stop.
Yeah. Because what's the point otherwise if you're not enjoying it, right? If there's no real feelings of victory when you're doing well or feelings of being proud and you just go right into what I could have been doing differently, then you're actually not even producing any sort of positive feedback loop. So that's going to keep you from achieving and doing better. With the red light, I love that part of your story is also sharing it with other people. Could you tell me a bit about, I kind of want to zero in on some of the benefits and what you've noticed as far as, so I'm hearing pain relief and
Mm.
recovery. What else have you noticed? What else can red light therapy do?
Yeah, I mean, the question I always respond to that, is it's not about what red light therapy can do, it's about what it cannot do. It can do
Ah,
everything. I mean, it can do everything. And where red light, like, where does it come from? What is red light therapy? So that's a simple way to that I always explain it is it's from the sun. It is from the sun, right? It's nothing, it's not some magical, technology. It's from the sun. The optimal time that we can get red and infrared light is at sunrise and sunset.
mhm.
If you're 30 degrees away from the equator, though, most those countries don't really have a sunrise sunset. But if you're in Miami, which is it's like that's our head office, Thailand, that's another place I've been many
Mm.
times. You get these amazing sunrises and sunsets where you look and you're just like, wow, is this real? Let me take some
Oh
photos.
my
And you're like,
gosh.
oh God, 1,000 photos I've taken. It's ridiculous. And it's amazing. Amazing, this incredible light. And that's red and infrared light. And that's the light, the wavelengths of the light. It's at the right length to be able to penetrate your skin and activate your mitochondria. So we're human beings and we're made up of cells, billions of cells. And the engine, the driver, the powerhouse of the cell is the mitochondria. So if you're giving energy to the mitochondria, the cell can do what it's supposed to do. The cell can do its job. So that's where we get, outcomes like hair growth. Have you
Yeah.
seen these devices that you put on your head and it's like just light because it helps your hair grow, right? Have you seen TikTok right now? It's quite
Yeah.
famous, these LED masks.
Yeah.
The boyfriend's saying that he's like, what's my girlfriend wearing? And she's like,
Right.
it's like a big TikTok thing. It's like a trend. That's all red light. That's red light. There's other colors in there as well, but most masks will always have at least a red light nanometer, and then they'll have other wavelengths as well for other uses like anti-wrinkle, anti-pimple, all these different lights for different reasons for beauty. So that's why it's big in the beauty space. But I think where red light therapy goes back to Roman times, like if you were to really trace it back, it goes way back to like, the Greeks were using it. But I think in recent history, it kind of became famous with NASA. They were using it to grow
Mm.
plants, and the astronauts realized it was healing abrasions on their skin. So it started to become used as a laser tool for wound healing. If you had a serious cut or you were in a car accident, some hospitals would have red light laser treatment to help heal your wounds, right? To help the cut, right? Then it became big in the beauty space because it produces collagen in your skin. So that with the LED mask, the whole anti-aging space,
Hmm.
why red light is so big in there is because it produces collagen in your skin. It boosts your body's SPF levels. It raises testosterone. There's a very famous article, I think it was like 8 years ago, by a big biohacker, optimizer, trainer by the name of Ben Greenfield. He did like a self-study. He used red light therapy,
Oh,
and
yes.
I think it was published by Men's Health or something. It was a long time ago, but it exploded red light therapy for just for testosterone production. But it's used for so many different things, for eye health, for oral hygiene. Ear doctors use it, right? And there's studies being done now where it is being used potentially in a way to cure very, very serious diseases like cancer. There's also a lady I know quite well. She's a neuroscientist, Sarah Turner from London. And she's done studies and has created a device where she's using red light therapy on the brain and on the gut, right? The gut brain
Mm.
axis.
Yep.
And she's using this to potentially be able to cure brain diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. Very, very exciting.
Wow.
Like if you
Yeah.
talk about red
Yeah.
light and brain, it's really exciting. There's a veterans foundation in Boca Raton, not far from the office, where they use red light therapy, the helmets, not to grow their hair, but to help with their PTSD, to help rewire their brains, get their brains rewired, because the veterans will come into their clinic and they'll do these treatments. That's a very exciting space.
Yes.
Very, very
Yes, I
exciting.
could see that because with the work I do in mental health and therapy, one of the things is really how to retrain your brain, right? But there are other limitations to why we might not be able to do that. Sometimes it's our diet. We may not have enough nutrients for some of those things to occur as quick as we want them to. So I could definitely see how the red light would help with that
Giving energy to the cell,
energy.
right? It gives your body energy to heal itself on a cellular level. The easiest way to explain it.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Thinking also about Sarah Turner, someone that I will introduce to you if you do want to get her onto the podcast as well. Because if you do want a photobiomodulation specialist to like wow you with all the science and talk in that language, like the medical language is everything like, oh my God.
Yeah, rewind. Yeah, that sounds amazing because yes, the way you're describing it makes a ton of sense. It gives the cells the energy. When we think about how much our brain uses energy, it is really astonishing to me how much of our calorie intake goes to our brain.
Yeah.
So I could be just sitting here thinking about a problem and burning calories. So maybe that's a new like fad diet.
That's exactly right. So this is the Lumaflex device. So this is the panel. Okay. So we'll just talk about the actual light itself. So you can see, woo, that's a bright light. But the LEDs, right? So there's a dual LED chip in here. So that has both red and near infrared. Red being 630. Imagine red again for beauty. Say I was in a boxing fight. I got all the bruises, a lot of pain on the surface. Red will take care of that, the 630 nanometer. Then in that same chip, I also have an 850 nanometer, which goes deeper. That goes into, this joint pain, muscle pain, arthritis, very, very deep pain. But that's just light. So there's studies now showing that frequencies of light, pulsating frequencies for certain outcomes, that's another whole exciting area where it's not just getting the light into your cells, but frequency, the actual pulsating. That's another whole exciting topic that you could go deep with Sarah if you ever speak to her. So this is what her device does to pulsate into your brain to optimize you for focus, for relaxation, for energy, right? You can actually, set the frequencies for certain outcomes. But for me, though, given my history as an athlete and having a lot of physical pain from sport, right? Having a sore back, a sore neck, my sore knee, right? My sore shoulders, and of course, my head itself, dealing with headaches. I communicate red light therapy as a pain management solution. And I talk about it as something to avoid surgery, to avoid medication, because there's an epidemic of pain in the US. And what people are turning to is so dangerous. And it leads you down a really dark road that some people don't even survive from, right?
Right.
It's kind of where I keep the focus. There's lots of different spaces in photobiomodulation, and I'm kind of more focused on just the pain, pure pain. That stay-at-home mom who's taking care of the kids and her back is sore, right? And she can't go out and do her exercise because her back's sore, her knees are sore. Like my mom was always her knees. My mom's knees was always, my knees, I can't walk. There was a big pain struggle for her where her knees. My dad, it was his neck. He was always, I slept on the pillow wrong, John. He had a real rough time. They're sort of my focus, my audience that people have to speak to.
What a great audience, though.
It's a massive audience.
Yeah.
I do put the Lumaflex on my brain in the morning. I do focus it on my head. There is no frequencies, no pulsating like Sarah's device and the studies she's done, but it's still extremely healthy for you to get your brain activated with red light and also your spine. So I'll hang it just like that on my shirt, the tip of my spine, and then of course my gut. And then this is my favorite one is the Iron Man. I just put it right there for my heart. So I do put it on those key areas, even regardless if I don't have pain, if I'm not suffering, a bad shoulder or bad knee, I put it on those areas every morning, and I'll do it during the day and then sometimes before bed. There is that whole circadian rhythm, right? That I'm sure, with you being a therapist, like someone's coming in with anxiety, with depression, and you realize maybe you should stop that blue light watching TikTok till 4 a.m, and then your circadian rhythm is off. And I like the word you used before where you said you have to rewire your brain. You have to set yourself back to where you're comfortable. Wake up morning, because we would wake up and in the morning, we'd enjoy our sunrise, sunset. That would be our red light, right? We would build our body's SPF levels for the later rays of the day. And then at sunset, that was when our circadian would turn off, and we would be in the dark, but we would sit around campfires. We'd sit around campfires. So we did have that red light. But now everyone, when the sun goes down, they're on blue light. They're watching TV. So their brain is like, are we supposed to sleep or are we supposed to
Right.
wake up? Like, what are we supposed to do? Like, are you tired? Do you want to take a sleeping pill? But, oh, you want to finish the movie, so maybe you should have a coffee.
Right, 100%. So then, John, before we close up, I'm curious of how long do you typically have the red light on? And then does it matter what time of day? You mentioned it maybe at night. I'm guessing that it could help with circadian rhythm as well.
Yeah, like for the brain, again, following Sarah Turner's study, she said, no, you don't need any more than 10 minutes.
Okay.
On the Lumaflex device, there's actually a 10-minute timer built in, so it will automatically turn off after 10. And for the heart, I usually do a little bit longer. I do like two 20-minute sessions, and I may do more throughout the day. But brain, you don't really need too much. You need just 10 minutes. And it's each to their own. I think generally speaking, when it comes to full body, like red light exposure, say you're in a red light sauna or you do a red light bed, they usually are 20-minute sessions. Every human being has a battery. We all have this battery. And to fill the battery up, roughly the clinical research is showing that 20 minutes of red light therapy exposure fills our battery up. However, everybody's battery depletes at different times, especially if you're injured or you have pain, you've been dealing with pain for a long time, you're dealing with a real serious injury or some serious chronic pain or a disease even. Your battery may drop very fast. Other people that are, they're okay, they're well, they're healthy, they drink a lot of water, they eat clean food, they regularly exercise, they sleep. They could maybe do 20 minutes every day is enough. Whereas other people, they may lose that battery and need to get replenished more throughout the day. It's different to each person, but that's like for the full body. So for when you're talking about treatment, like say I have a sore shoulder, I don't care to overdose because you can't really overdose on light. So I will do like 40 minutes, so I'll do like 2 10 minutes there, and then I'll do the other side and I'll do 2 10 minutes there. I may even like I may get, the full triangle on the shoulder. Like I'll do it a lot to make sure I get that pain gone as best I can. And once you start using it, you start to understand how you feel. After about 2 weeks, you will see the light of daily use, and then you'll never get off red light therapy. You'll always be using it. I promise you. After 2 weeks, you'll always be using it.
I totally believe you. I'm getting one. After we hang up, I'm going to go get one. Speaking of that, is there a takeaway before we end? And maybe you could let everybody know how to reach you and how to get their red light.
Yeah, I mean, it's just lumaflex.com. Luma meaning light, flex meaning flexible, because it's a flexible panel. But I would just want to encourage everybody to, don't take my word for it. Just go to Google red light therapy. What the hell is it? Or, YouTube. What the hell is red light therapy? There's a wealth of information out there. You've got greats like Andrew Huberman, Gary Brecka, Ben Greenfield, Chris Gethin. Some of these guys are I'm quite close with. They endorse it very heavily, and they just give you the raw science. They don't endorse a product. So get all that information first. Get on the red light therapy train, and then you think, what's the product that fits me? Get a product that suits your life. Don't bend to a product. But let the product bend to you. There's different applications out there, and all of them have different audience. So am I on the go? The Lumaflex is a good one, right? Yeah. Am I a baller? Then maybe you want a bed in your home. It's own a gym or something. Maybe you want like a different kind of device for your members or for yourself. Right. Make sure the device suits you. Don't suit yourself to the device.
Yeah, that's great advice. So I want to thank you again, John. This was really great talking with you.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, and I had a great time.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. All right. Thanks. Bye. Thank you for joining us today on the Wisconsin Wellness Podcast. Remember, your well-being is a priority, and we're here to help support you every step of the way. If you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast for more inspiring content on health and wellness. You can also join our Facebook group to connect with Wisconsin wellness providers by clicking the link in our show notes. Take care of yourself, and remember that your well-being is a journey, not a destination. We look forward to you joining us again next time on the Wisconsin Wellness Podcast. Until then, stay well and stay inspired.